Welcome to That's Good Broncos. I am Brandon Perna, and this is the final Broncos prediction episode of the 2016 NFL season. The Broncos are playing for nothing, except maybe pride and, of course, the millions and millions of dollars in salary. But other than that, nothing. And the Raiders are playing without their quarterback and team leader, Derek Carr, which makes my job at predicting this game really fucking hard. Leave it to the Raiders to find a way to screw me. That's Good Broncos. Is my butt hurt? Yes, the Broncos missing the playoffs really hurts my butt. In fact, you could say it's inflamed. And that's why I'm using Charlotte's Web hemp oil. Great for inflammation, not necessarily hurting butts, anxiety, and sleeping well. Get your hemp oil at cwhemp.com. The promo code is That's Good for 10% off your order to help your inflamed, sore, playoff-less hurt butts, or other more practical things. The good thing about this being a home game for the Broncos, besides the half-point advantage, is we will not have to stare at the ghetto Santas in the stands of the Oakland Coliseum. I fully support black Santas, just not Santas dressed in Raider black, to be clear. Instead, we'll see how many people truly are Broncos fans. Denver does get their half point, and today, to help us with the points, hoping the Broncos return next season ready to kick ass, is maybe one of the best action movies of all time, The Perfect Weapon. Gary Kubiak versus Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio clearly had the better season this year, as the Raiders currently sit atop the AFC West. What we're about to find out is what the Raiders team is really made of, as Derek Carr is done for the season with a broken fibula. I will say this about Carr: the dude is fucking tough.
It's broke! It's broke! It's broke! It's broke! It's broke! It's broke!
He just says, it's broke, it's broke, it's broke, like he's talking about his car. Pun intended. If that were me, this is what that would have sounded like. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh fuck me, somebody call my mother, somebody call my mommy, somebody call my mommy, somebody call my mommy, it's broken, it's fucking broken in half, somebody call my fucking mother, please, Jesus Christ, call my mother, my fucking leg is broken in half, somebody call something, God, I can't do. And that's why I never played in the NFL. I'm a pussy. To be honest, I don't even know how Kubiak prepares for a meaningless game like this one. I didn't even want to make this video. And I don't have some lifelong friends that I'll probably have to fire after the game or consider retiring because of my health. Out of respect for some of the changes I believe that are coming to the Broncos coaching staff, which may include Wade Phillips, whose contract is up, although I believe they will re-sign him. I call this a tie, as these guys might come out swinging, knowing it's their last day on the Denver sideline.
You little shit!
Trevor Siemian / Paxton Lynch versus Matt McGloin. Or as the NFL Network referred to it, the quarterback matchup that Matt McGloin's and Paxton Lynch's parents are very excited for. Trevor Siemian will get the start for the Broncos, and Paxton Lynch will take over at some point. Kubiak stated he wanted Siemian to have a chance to get the bad taste of the last game out of his mouth, to which Siemian responded, yeah, the food at Arrowhead Stadium does taste like shit. I know the Broncos don't have much to play for, but Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch have a lot to play for. If one of them can play very well, that's going to carry over into the offseason evaluation process. Matt, I put fear in nobody's loins, McGloin, had 6 starts in 2013, went 1-5, and has started 0 games since. He's basically like Brock Osweiler last year, filling in for a star on a very good team. The difference is, he'll be behind one of the best offensive lines in the league, and he has some great weapons to throw to. Being in the league for 4 years, jumping into an ideal situation with everyone expecting nothing from him, I wouldn't be surprised if McGloin came out and had a terrific day throwing the rock. I would not be surprised if that happened, but I expect him to play between average and shit-tacular. However, He's got the worst secondary to try to throw against. And if any part of the team wants to finish this season right, it's the no-fly zone. No points here for any of the quarterbacks. Could one of them become the perfect weapon? Broncos ball catchers versus Raiders secondary. This has been a tough year for the Broncos ball catchers. DT and Emmanuel Sanders do both have 1,000 receiving yards, which on paper sounds good, but with a combined 10 touchdowns and an 8-7 record, it hasn't felt like the offense had double 1,000-yard receivers. DT has had a 1,000-yard season every year since 2012, and Sanders has had a 1,000-yard season every year he's been in Denver. And last year, each receiver had one more receiving touchdown than they currently have. The difference for them in production changed when Gary Kubiak took over the offense. In 2014, Manning's last good year, DT had 1,600 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns, which is one more than he and Sanders currently combined for. Sanders had 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. Both wideouts still have the same skills, so why the drop in production? Sanders is extremely interesting because at this point, he's only had 4 fewer targets than in 2014. 4 fewer targets, 22 less catches, but 400 fewer yards and 4 fewer touchdowns. Thomas had 50 fewer targets in relation to 2014, so his drop in production makes sense. But I think these are great examples pointing to the biggest issue, which is the Broncos' current offensive scheme, which in its current form isn't conducive to big plays for whatever reason. That's why against a very average secondary, I give the Raiders 0.25 advantage.
The only thing that's different is now you're dangerous.
Broncos O-line and running backs versus Raiders front seven. The biggest area of weakness for the Broncos is and has been for 2 full seasons now the offensive line. Right tackle is the glaring weakness on the line. That will be the biggest priority for the Broncos in the offseason. The bad news for Sunday is Donald Stevenson will be tasked with blocking Khalil Mack, who is arguably as dangerous as Von Miller coming off the edge. This is a chance for Stevenson to prove he deserves another chance next year. Khalil Mack destroyed Michael Schofield, Ty Sambrailo, and now could go 3 for 3 with Stevenson getting the start. Unless, of course, they put somebody else there to test him in this game. I don't know what the Broncos are gonna do. I do want to acknowledge how great Matt Paradis has been playing with fucked up hips all year. He'll have surgery not once, but twice this offseason for both hips. Yet, he performed as one of the best NFL centers all year, and he did that injured and next to 2 very average guards. The guy should be in the Pro Bowl, so he could deny going to the Pro Bowl because he has to get 2 fucking hip surgeries. Good work, Paradis. If the Broncos have success, it will be on the interior. That's where the Raiders are weakest on defense. They're 21st against the run, allowing 115.9 yards per game. With Mack and Irvin poised to have big games on the edge, Denver needs to run it up the gut. Will they? Probably not, because they are also trying to evaluate their 2 quarterbacks. Half point here for the Raiders. Perfect weapon.
Come on, white boy. See what you got.
Special teams versus special teams. The Raiders don't have Tyreek Hill returning punts, thank God, but they do have Jalen Richard, who actually has more kick returns for 20-plus yards than Hill. Jalen hasn't scored a TD on a kick or punt this season, though. Janikowski has made 1 more field goal than McManus on 3 more attempts, but is only 3 of 8 for kicks over 50. Riley Dixon's leg is more tired than Marquette King's with 11 more punts on the season. I don't even know if it matters, so 0 points here for the special teams.
You fingered a soldier named Kai.
Raiders ball catchers versus Broncos secondary. Maybe the most impressive thing this season is how consistent the Broncos secondary has been. Even last week against the Chiefs, the long 80-yard Travis Kelce touchdown was a quick screen pass with tremendous blocking by the Chiefs offense and poor tackling by the entire Broncos defense. Take away that one play, and Alex Smith would have finished the day with 164 passing yards. Darian Stewart, Chris Harris, Aqib Talib, Bradley Roby, and TJ Ward have been so good that the Raiders shied away from the passing game in the first meeting and ran the ball 39 times, excluding any of Derek Carr's rush attempts. Amari Cooper was the leading receiver with 56 yards, Crabtree had 27, and Carr finished the day with 184 passing yards. That's right around what the Broncos have been holding teams to all year. I give the Broncos a half-point advantage here because Derek Carr is not throwing the ball, and I fully expect the Raiders to rely heavily on the run as they did in the first meeting. If Oakland has success, it will be with passes to the tight end Clive Walford. TJ Ward will not play with his concussion, and we saw how well Justin Simmons played against the Chiefs. Expect to see more of Simmons, Parks, and even Torian Nixon, who's back on the active roster. The no-fly zone really is the Broncos' perfect weapon.
Everybody in Koreatown knows Young killed Kim, dick.
Raiders O-line and running backs versus Broncos front seven. The left side of the Raiders offensive line is truly playing at an elite level. Donald Penn, Kalichi Osemele, and Rodney Hudson are dominating. Donald Penn gave up 1 sack this season, and it just happened to be last week against the Colts, and it just happened to break Derek Carr's fucking leg. I doubt he gives up another sack this week. And if I'm Oakland, I'm going to run the ball on the left side of the line another 40 fucking times on Sunday, assuming Kalichi Osemele is healthy. He's been dealing with an ankle injury all week. He may not even play, I don't know yet. Jalen Richard, or Richard, Latavius Murray, and DeAndre Washington will split reps, and the offensive coordinator, Bill Musgrave, who's from Grand Junction, Colorado, by the way, will give the back who has the hot hand plenty of carries. The Raiders have been great in that aspect all year long. Murray typically gets the most carries, but Richard and Washington go back and forth in which one of them gets the second most carries, depending on who's doing well in a given game. DeMarcus Ware went back under the knife to repair a ruptured disc. A ruptured disc. To repair a ruptured disc in his back. I know many of us want to see Ware return for one more year. He's a great player and his leadership really helps out in that locker room. But with an injury like that, it's time for him to hang it up. The back is nothing to fuck around with, and I believe his body is telling him to take it easy. And D. Ware, if you need some CW hemp oil to help with that inflammation and recovery, I have the connect. Derek Wolfe, he's been dealing with a neck injury. He should not play. Don't risk it. Brandon Marshall's questionable with a hamstring. Don't play him. Let the thing heal. Hell, I'd even limit how much Von Miller plays in this game. Let your stars rest. Raiders get a half-point advantage here because if I'm Wade Phillips, I rest my guys. The Raiders have the point advantage. And maybe they have more points than they really deserve because there's a lot of questions in this game. I think the Raiders are going to win. They need it more than the Broncos. Broncos are banged up. They're going to try and get a look at some guys who haven't played a lot this season. I just don't expect them to win. But with Matt McGloin starting, we really have no idea what the Raiders offense will look like. Anything can happen, especially in a division game. So, what the fuck? One last time this season, Broncos win 21-20 with all the odds stacked against them. I'll even go a bit further and say they win at the end of the game on a Paxton Lynch rushing touchdown. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Broncos. Make sure you keep coming back. Just because the offseason's about to start doesn't mean I stop making fucking videos. I go all year long. Follow me on Twitter at Brandon Perna. Check out my friends at cwhemp.com. Get that hemp oil with the promo code That's Good. And Merry New Year.
Okay, goodbye.